So it's 7:35. We'll call the meeting to order. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. We'll again do the meeting as a virtual meeting due to the pandemic. Thank you to Jim Marks for making those arrangements. Cynthia, would you like to review the action items from last month?
Yeah, that's great. Give me just a second here. Okay, so Jay, we just wanted to mention, right, that some of the action items are staying on the list just because we didn't have time last week and because of this pandemic. So we'll just have to keep that on our radar. John L. Wanger John, you're supposed to send the new hunter's letter to us for approval to send to that BOS. Should that remain on the action item, John?
Yeah, the only issue that we're, like I said, the only change or issue is the fact that we want to, number 5, the general procedures about the sign-in. I still say we had issues with the sign-in. So we're going to give them a season off. Those who haven't followed the procedures. The other issue was increasing the acreage per hunter to 16, 17 acres, depending on the zones, to reduce the number of hunters down to 30.
Okay, so I guess my question is, are you planning on sending a letter? Is that what we're looking at here?
Yeah, that's what you're looking at.
Okay. Do you want to send that out and I can check it off the list?
Yeah, I'll be sending it out right after the meeting.
Awesome. Thanks. All right. Jay and Colleen, you were going to get together to send something about that. Oh, I don't know which one it is. The town tour and the village walk? That can't be the case. Oh, number 3. Hang on. Sorry, guys. I'm working with 2 screens as well. If what you guys wanted to post on the website as far as informing the residents of our situation and whether or not we were refunding anybody.
Denise has been working with everyone regarding the reservations and what's requested. Right now, nothing's been refunded. It's all just kind of communicating, and Denise has been handling all that.
So is this something I should leave on there, or should I not bother with it?
I don't know there's a need to.
Okay. Okay, thanks, sorry. And everyone, I know that no one's been adding hours with the comments, as far as a comment goes, in our minutes. There was an issue with Google with allowing you guys to comment, and I really don't know why, but it seems like it's all ironed out now. So I just want you to know that you can just highlight where it says forward your hours to me and click the plus sign, and that's an addition, a comment, and then you can just you could just put the numbers in there instead of emailing you separately. Okay. Can you guys hear me? Are you cool?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I'm swapping you over a little bit to do 2 things at once. I know I shouldn't do it, but okay. All right, and that might be it. Just, we're gonna go over the bikes on the Hanover Meadows, and we met at Kenilworth Park, and we're good to go. I believe that's it as far as the action items go. Thanks.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the April meeting?
Cynthia, did you get my couple of comments?
Yeah, just right now, I just got a few. I just now looked at it and I saw them, so I'll look through them. I haven't been able to just yet.
They're just quick and brief. They're just
little things. I gotcha.
like Steve's name.
That's what changes to the minutes.
Yeah,
That's
just
me.
little stuff.
Okay. Are we still comfortable approving that these are little things that we can?
Well, I'd like to know what the little things are
Yeah.
where we motion to approve.
So Steve
Okay.
Wild's name was misspelled. Carl's name was misspelled. Barry Muhlenberg's last name wasn't on.
Yep, that's because I don't know it. I'm glad you saw that.
That's fine, but I mean, it's just little stuff like that, honestly.
So Colleen, do you want to hold off until I make all those changes? I just didn't
No,
have.
is it just, it's just misspelling names and some people missing from the meeting?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I'm okay with it then.
Me too.
With-
Is there a
with
motion to approve?
spelling.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, the minutes are approved for the April meeting. Thank you. Okay, Kelly sent out the financial summary electronically prior to the meeting. If everyone has an opportunity to review that, are there any comments or questions?
I have one question. There's a Pico bill at Coventry Woods for the garage. That's not the garage that we tore down, is it? Is that the other garage?
No, it's the garage that's the pole building.
Oh, okay. Just want to check that. All right.
Okay.
I didn't think we were paying for that, are we?
Yes.
And again, I'm going to bring it up. Why are we paying for something we don't have access to?
It comes out of the right pocket, the left pocket. It's still a township property and it's in the park, and I guess that can be brought up in further budgeting.
Yeah, I mean, that should come out of the police budget.
Okay, we'll address that then. I'll make a note to
I mean, yeah, it doesn't matter. It all comes out North Coventry Township. But yeah, they pay the police. The police has a budget. John has a budget, right, Jim?
okay, we'll try to make sure that that's addressed.
So who would you address that with, Jay? This is Colleen.
We'll talk it over with Erica,
Okay.
which brings us to the next thing on our agenda. Like to welcome Erica to the township. I think she's on the meeting and would like to do an introduction.
Hi, thank you, Jay. For the borough of Pottstown for 8 years. I worked with the Parks and Recreation Foundation in Pottstown that entire time. Worked on a lot of open space and trail projects and planning. So whatever I can do to support you, I'm really looking forward to working with all of you and, in moving forward. And, we have some nicer weather now, and I know a lot of people are using parks and trails and that sort of thing, hope, safely, of course. So whatever I can do moving forward, if you have any questions for me, like to get to know each of you a little bit better. I know I was on a tour with Kevin, and I was at Riverbend Park, and there was an active project going on, and I met a few of you, and it's really great to see that there's active projects. There's a lot to understand. I think there's in touring North Coventry Township, even as a resident. I'm a resident here in North Coventry and been a local all my life. There's a lot to know. And as far as Coventry Woods and everything that's been happening with that and all the different park programs, there's definitely a lot of opportunity. You are all the experts that will be, I'm sure, letting me know about all the activities and programs you have had and the grant projects and that sort of thing. So I look forward to learning about all of it. So thank you. Thanks, Jay.
Thank you, Eric. And again, welcome.
Welcome.
Look forward to it.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to the regional Pottstown Area Regional Recreation Committee. And there's actually quite a few things on this list tonight. Number one, Michael Lane did submit the DCNR grant application for Riverside Park Boat Dock. So we have 3 grants in the pipeline. This is actually the fourth, all for the boat dock project. 3 have been approved and 1 pending. Number 2, contract is signed with Barry Dunn to begin a strategic plan process for PARRC. This is part of them becoming a little bit more independent. It was decided to do a strategic plan. We'll get more information on that later. And number 3, Michael Lane used some of his time at home during the pandemic situation to begin working on a PARRC website. So that's not up and running at all. However, hopefully we'll be getting more information on that soon as well. Number 4, requests were submitted to match $150,000 from DCNR to $100,000 from Pottstown Health and Wellness for round 4 of the PMRPC mini grant program. Historically, the other 3 rounds was done $100,000 apiece for a $200,000 pot. This time they're discussing jacking it up, so hope that'll give us a little bit more funding available.
Jay, give me one question here. On number 4, on the minutes, it says matching 150,000 from DCNR with 150,000 from PAHWF, and you just said 150,000 and 100,000.
Oh, no,
right?
I'm sorry. No, 150,000 each is correct.
Okay.
As what's being proposed.
Mm-hmm.
The past 3 rounds was 100,000 each.
Mm-hmm.
In the other 3 rounds, but this round, the proposal, and it's only a proposal at this point, is 150,000 each round.
All right, thanks. Just want to make sure.
Number 5, DCNR reached out to Health and Wellness regarding the 10-minute walk initiative. Basically guidelines for a partnership to get everyone with a 10-minute walk to a place of exercise and outdoor enjoyment. Health and Wellness is asking for a letter of support for this program, both from Parks and from the elected Board of Supervisors. Information was sent out a couple weeks ago to look over that. You know, it does seem like a lofty goal, but it's looking at things by 2050. So I think at this point it's, you know, we're not committing that we're going to have this on the ground tomorrow. This is a goal for 2050 partnership. I equate it a lot to what Pennsylvania did years ago, saying a park within 25 miles of every resident. And people kind of balked at that was impossible, and it happened. And, you know, now as we move forward through our kind of society, even 25 miles is pretty far to go just to get outside. Are there any thoughts or questions on this initiative?
They really just want a letter of support for the program and for us to try to participate?
Yeah, so one of the things that they're looking at is, and something we've talked about historically many times, is how do we get different municipalities, different school districts, everybody working together toward a common goal. And that's really the heart of this initiative is, you know, how do we get the school districts, the municipalities, and everybody focused on the same thing. And yeah, it's just a letter of support for that concept at this point.
Are you writing the letter?
Well, if we, we'll have to discuss that see what, I think we have to, well, first of all, we would have to, want to support it. Then we have to come up with the wording and see what PARRC is doing and talk to Erica about wording and whatnot like that. So I don't want to get ahead, but yes, I'm willing.
Sorry, this is Patty. There was a letter attached to that already.
Right. That was the draft that they're kind of proposing. So we can use that wording.
And you said we don't have to do this right now, or what's the deadline? When do they want this?
We do need
They do want it now.
Yes. I mean, not the having everybody within a 10-minute walk.
No, but the letter.
Yes, the letter is, yes.
Yeah, I think as I read it, Jay, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that the concept was to specifically target cities and towns so that everyone had a 10-minute walk. And while I don't think that's as applicable to North Country Township, we certainly provide parks for, the Pottstown Borough and across the river. And so as part of that, yes, we should certainly be supportive of it, even especially just as a general idea. So also Pottstown Area Health and Wellness is a big funder, not to be too cynical, but they are a funder of many of the grants that we reach out for. So I think it's a really good idea. Plus, I think it would be in our best interest to support it.
Can we take
I
that
agree.
as a motion?
Yes, you can take that as a long-winded motion, certainly.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
I'll
Colleen.
second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, thank you all. We'll look at that draft, talk to Craig Callistra and Erica, and try to get that on the BOS agenda then. Okay, the last thing on the PARC list is our request to provide a project list for scheduling over the next X number of years, 5 years. We kind of passed some of that around electronically. What we have to date, this is just a draft. Current projects, we have the Riverside Park boat dock and the Riverbend playground. Those are active and approved. In our 1-year plan, it would be grant funding for Coventry Woods, Chestnut Hill access, roadway stabilization, grant funding for Fernbrook Lodge interior restorations, grant funding for the Kenilworth Park SRT Trailhead for engineering, which that has already been applied for, and also grant funding and public meetings for a Bickle Run master plan.
Oh, that wasn't on there.
Yeah, that wasn't on there.
Well, it was sent, so I added it on when it was sent as a
Okay.
suggestion. So these are all things that were sent as sent as suggestions, excuse me. For the 3-year, grant funding for Coventry Woods cabin restoration, grant funding for the Kenilworth SRT trailhead construction. That's something that the county is kind of tentatively planning on next year after we get the engineering done. But the way this is set up, we kind of had to do it for the 3-year.
Jay, is there any way you could share that screen? I mean, I have it open on another, but could you share that? Because apparently yours is a little different than the one I have.
Yeah. Hey, so everyone, I also, I have it linked in the minutes to a draft list. Again, same as what Patty's saying, I compiled everything that everyone sent, but clearly I didn't get it all. So if you could take a look at that, Jay, that'd be great. And just tell me what I'm missing or add it in.
I'm not sure how to share
Fine.
it.
Just tell me what I'm missing, and then I'll fix it up. But for everyone's, I don't know, if you want to look at it, it's on the minutes and it's just a link. So you just click draft list and you'll be at the compilation.
If I could email it to Jim or someone, or if, I guess if
Oh, there goes.
what I have is the same.
There we go. Thanks, Vince.
Yeah, I just shared it.
Okay, and is this, hopefully this is the same one as mine. I can't really see it. Okay,
Yeah.
also for 3 years would be the Kenilworth Park MS4, Kenilworth Creek and disc golf course area. Grant funding for Riverbend Park upgrades, the 3 athletic fields and storage building. Grant funding for Riverside Park pickleball court construction. for the 5-year grant funding Coventry Woods ADA accessible trail and sensory trail. Grant funding for Kenilworth Park tennis court resurfacing. Grant funding for Kenilworth Park pond overflow pipe replacement. And grant funding for Riverside Park boat ramp repairs. I think when we send this, what we choose to send is not necessarily cut in stone that this is what we're doing. This is really for a planning purpose for Michael to do his scheduling. And then as this list gets mixed with all the other municipalities, as we adapt it over time, being used also for his evaluations and whatnot. Do we want to feel that this is comfortable for a draft to send to the whole group, or do we need alterations?
Hey, Jay, I think you're missing kind of a few things that I think Vince added on, Colleen added on, and I think you have all the ones Patty added.
Not quite, but
Not-
I think, you know, the list that Cynthia, and thank you for putting it in the draft minutes, you know, there's a lot more on there. And obviously, I don't think all of those should go on a draft list. I think we need to pare it down to send to Michael. One of my questions is, are all of these things that is everything that's going to be on this list things that we're going to be requesting grants for? And if so, should all the Coventry Woods things actually be on there? Or there's some of those that we can move ahead of with open space funds without waiting for grant money? Because it's a pretty long list, and there's like certain things like the Kenilworth Park tennis court resurfacing that we had talked about last year, and I don't know that it can last 5 years.
And that was one of mine also. I would like to move that up to the 3-year.
But I mean, I think there's so much on there that we really need to pare it down and be a little realistic.
Yeah, I think that is one of the problems. It's all things we want to get done, but
Right.
like, how do you do so much with, you know, limited resources?
So these are things that we want to request grant money for? Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, we'd be
Okay.
asking Michael to seek out and write grants. Now, one of the things with I think it was one Vince put on the list about a Bickle Run master plan. And that would also involve public meetings and asking Michael to schedule time to do that as well. So the rest is just grant funding. And that one item would be grant funding along with the 3 public meetings.
Right.
Colleen, I suggested that we put under the 3-year new playground equipment for Kenilworth Park. That might be something we want to look at. I don't really think we can wait for 5 more years to do something like that. I really think it needs to be updated within the next 3 years. It needs to be updated now, but I would like to see that on the 3-year.
Yeah, Colleen, on the 3-year one, if you go to the minutes and click on the link, when I compiled everything, that Kenilworth playground upgrade is on the 3-year list.
Okay.
As well, I added Riverside playground upgrade because that came through in an email from Michael recently.
Okay.
So I did put everything on there. Hey, Vince, can you potentially click on that and share that list?
Yeah. I gotta stop.
Sorry.
No, and can I ask John McKee, can you weigh in on, you've given us some really good advice previously about projects that we really would need more grant money for, and projects that we can do a little bit more of on our own with a less amount of grant money?
For one, I think the stabilization of the road at the lodge at Fernbrook, a $13,000 project. Bulk of that is materials, road crew time, because it's open space.
Right.
I don't think that needs to be on the list. I don't think we want Michael pursuing grants for that. I think you need to get your bucket list here. We need to put dollars to it. And then when the grant comes up, if it's a 10% match, for instance, tennis court, that's all subcontract work. No match with road crew time. So we want to be able to match the right project with the right grant to get the most bang for our buck. So, I mean, some of the stuff with the Schuylkill River Trailhead, that's an open space area there. So you do have access to use open space money for that. That Reed property is all bought with open space money. So yeah, we have a lot of needs. It's a matter of getting the right list together and matching the right grant with the right project. So. And
A lot of these are
a
open.
lot of it starts like we're looking at cabin restorations, lodge interior. Like to me, the lodge interior right now, like we don't really have a master plan for what we're doing with the interior of the lodge. So to say that's going to happen in 3 years, I don't know that's going to happen. So maybe that's on the 5-year because that's important. But yeah. There are a lot of needs, but like I said, if you get your list together and we can start projecting numbers and matching the right grant, I think we go a lot further. I think we need to be to the point where we have an idea what it's going to cost. And then when we go apply for our grant, knowing estimated cost, and we can get the job and turn it around quicker so we can get another grant. Because we're holding on to grants for 2 years now for some of these projects.
So are the items that could be open space, should they still be on this list?
I think we need a good balance, a good mix. I mean, I understand the point of not draining the open space fund, but also see if we are applying for grants for our open space, where are our parks in 5 years?
Exactly.
Where we don't have grant money there.
The open space money can be used for the match for grants, which makes that process much easier. But to say that we don't need a grant because we might as well get money from other places, not just spend, it'll make our match money go much further if we can, our purchases, we've purchased the land for 20 cents on a dollar. If we had purchased it for $1 on $1, we wouldn't have near as much land. So I think we need to continue with that concept of stretching our dollars as far as we can.
Again,
I agree, but I think we need that balance.
Yeah. I think we got to look at the timing. I mean, because we've had this conversation before, and we're certainly not going to go into tonight, I hope. But if there's money available for something that needs to be done, waiting for a grant shouldn't mean waiting 12 years to complete the project. That's just my opinion, and I know it's a shared opinion. But if there is money available and it's something that should be done, then we should suggest doing it. If there's grant money that we can get at that time to help pay for it, fabulous. But if there's not, it doesn't mean we should put it off for another 5-6 years.
Most grants come through spring and fall as the window to file applications. So it's not like we can, there's DCNR grants every spring, every fall. There's health and wellness grants every spring, every fall. It's a planning process. Again, we have to have the engineering done. That's our responsibility. We have to have the match money. That's our responsibility. But, grants do become available on a regular basis. We just have to have a project that's worthy and have all the kind of the things in place for that to happen.
But Jay, without prioritizing these, just scanning down this list, we're looking at the upgrades to the athletic fields, the tennis court at Kenilworth Park, the boat ramp, none of which we can use open space funds for. So I completely agree with you. I'm very thrifty and I love to stretch a dollar, but the ones that we don't have any funds available for can't keep getting kicked down the road while we're applying for grants to stretch our open space funds too. I mean, if there's something specific for that it's a perfect match, absolutely. I'm all in, but Yeah, I see some of these things just languishing. And I think, John, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think that's kind of what you're saying is the balance between, as Cynthia more eloquently put it, keeping all projects moving along.
The problem we have with parks that were not open space purchases is we don't have match money. So if you look again at, Riverbend Park upgrades, depending what we call an upgrade, if we get someone saying that they want to regrade every field, it could be a $500,000 project. I don't know that person is needed, but there's consultants who could say this is going to be a $500,000 project. We're going to have a match to make that happen. So that's where this conversation does become much more complicated.
Right, understood. But then how do we get those projects done? I mean, that's what John, I think, was saying is we have to look for projects that mesh with the grant in particular, where it calls for less of a match or something. Then we can work on the projects where we don't have the open space funds. So I think it would be really good to have a mixture of, in our priorities, ones that we could maybe do with open space potential matches, and ones that we just have to figure out a way to fund them and get them done.
And I think that's one of the, exactly what you're saying is why it's important to get Michael a list like this. In the past, in the 5 years this program's operated, we've gone and said, okay, we want to do this project now. And that didn't really allow Justin or Michael to be able to look forwards to start planning, especially from his point of view. A DCNR grant is a relatively complicated document. And if he has multiple municipalities doing that at the same time, that really stretches his schedule. So for him to look at, here is, and you're right, it would be very worthwhile for him to know when we have match money and when we don't. But that's the idea of him having this in advance, is so he can start to plan what grants could be coming available at certain times, and how could those grants be combined.
Hey, so then Jay, potentially we send him the long list, so to speak, and Michael looks through it and he knows what we have for open space and he knows what we need grant money for. Couldn't he then suggest what he thinks will be approved and what wouldn't be approved? Even with it's not that long of a list, I don't think.
Yeah, getting his feedback would certainly be real valuable. I'm not sure if the whole group of 7 municipalities needs to approve this list, that we don't have some township putting 200 things on it. And I'm not sure that hasn't been finalized yet. They're just asking for, a draft of what the interests are.
Yeah, and we know how lists work. So
yeah.
I say send them what we got. Who knows how long this idea is going to last?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Hopefully
not
long.
binding.
Hopefully long.
This is an attempt to try and make the system work a little bit better,
Mhm.
but I don't know that we're carving anything in stone that
Yeah.
this is the way.
I mean, how binding is it? I mean, it's not that we can't discuss it and move things around a little bit to become priority.
It's not. It could be considered a planning document.
Just a plan.
Again, before we do any grants, that needs BOS approval. There's whole processes that would need to go into place. This is for Michael's planning and, again, his reviews, but nothing is cut in stone.
Jay, just quick, I think the big thing now is if everyone aligns to the list or your projects, we can start putting number figures to the projects, and then we can kind of match the grants. Hey, road crew, you have a 50% match in road crew time and labor here on this grant. This one you have none. This is all subcontractor work. We want to look for a 10% match on this grant. And I think align to the list, say this is important to you, and then we can move on from there and try to match the right grant for the right project.
That sounds like a great idea, because we could
That
sit
makes a
there
lot of
all
sense.
night. Is everybody comfortable with that, that we work between the list that Cynthia and Vince and I have? Just, let's take these drafts. It seems we have 3 different lists here. Put it down. It's all our ideas. Try to get some rough cost estimates. Make some notes about what has some funding matches, and then that'll give us something to work forward to.
I actually suggest we do move that interior restoration for the hall and the kitchen down, not as a 1 year. That's a lot to take on, and like John was saying, we don't have all the information to even think about that in 1 year. We can talk about it, but I don't think that should be a 1 year plan for a grant. I think that
Yeah.
needs to be moved down.
I wrote that on my list, Colleen, so I'll get to that one.
Yeah, I think
Okay,
Unless you want to do it.
originally, the 1 year was for the exterior, and then some comments were received that, well, the exterior part's already moving forward, so let's make it the interior part. And that's how it ended up there. It was just a change between exterior and interior, and
that's a big change.
Colleen, let me just say though that, we've put bathrooms in there. We've spent maybe $100,000, I don't know how much, on roof, gutters, bathrooms, siding, new windows. If we don't keep this process moving forward by keeping that at the top of the list and forcing the issue, we'll
Okay.
need to be replacing the roof again before we
Okay.
get the inside finished. So I
All
think
right.
it's just to keep it on the radar and force the lodge committee to start moving forward. That's not something we can take care of, but we can push them to get that done.
Okay, all right, I agree.
Hey, can I make a suggestion quick? Vince, if you don't mind, since you're sitting on there, can you just quickly add a comment so that everyone can see how to do it? I think that maybe a refresher might be nice for some of our folks.
Oh, okay. Actually, it does it automatically, but
So he highlighted anywhere really on the list, and then just click that little plus sign that you see disappearing. There it is. And then it says comment with his name, and you could just type in what you're thinking. So this is a good way to go about putting in your opinion for how to switch it up and change it around, and everybody can either see the comment, or if we accept the comment, see the change made in the document. So again, you just highlight anywhere on that document if you open it up in the Google Doc, and then click the little plus sign that you see appear after you highlighted something, and then just type your comment. It's a really nice way to just send your suggestions.
Okay.
Thanks.
okay, we'll table this discussion, but thank you everybody for the ideas, and this will continue to take a little bit more work. Hopefully John can help out with some cost estimates, and we'll get a draft to Michael, get his thoughts and feedback, and it'll be an ongoing process.
Jay, just one thing before you, I met Michael, I think last week, and he was looking for the list. Are you going to reach out to him and tell him that you're sending them this? Because I told him it was on the agenda for this meeting, and
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, we'll try and make sure we get, and if we have to, we have a couple lists here. We'll either get them combined or get them so he has something to work with.
I know he's looking for it, so that's
Right.
Jay, do you want me to add him to share the list so that he can at least have a glimpse at it?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, if you can do that, that might make it easier on him, that he has
No problem.
access at any time.
And then do you want to just make a deadline for when we need to get suggestions or comments in, like this weekend or by Sunday night, or so that he knows when it's, everybody's going to get their opportunity to speak up?
Yeah, why don't we try to get something together by next week? Let's say the 15th is the middle of the month, and that'll be before the next regional park meeting. And if we can get things give everybody a couple days to get their ideas and get them combined and get it to him by the middle of the month, and he'll have it before the next park meeting then. Does that sound reasonable, the 15th?
Actually, that sounds, I think we could do it quicker because we should have all been thinking about it already.
Okay. Well,
Yeah. 15th is good. I mean, it'll get in before the next park meeting, and it'll give me time to get in touch with Cynthia so I can.
That's no problem.
Get
I
in.
guess part of my concern too is if John's going to take some time to try and get some cost ideas,
Yeah.
that with his road work schedule, that he has time to work on that. Okay.
Can't hurt. 15th. I think the 15th is good.
Okay. We'll move on. The Open Space Review Board, Chester County, fully funded 50%.
Hey, so we're done with this list? I can stop sharing?
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Thank you, Vince.
Okay. I want to talk about the storage building. So let's make sure sometime tonight we discuss what to do with that building.
Okay.
So.
The Open Space Review Board items, the Chester County fully funded 50% of the purchase for the Miller tracks as an addition to Coventry Woods. The grant applications were then filed with DCNR. So that process is in motion. Any questions or comments on that? Okay. Deer management, John or Carl, any reports?
Yeah, as I,
Wait, I'm sorry, before I didn't hit the mute fast enough. So on the open space, what's the time frame for closing? On the Miller track, do you know?
Do not know.
no, we didn't have a meeting. And as it was stated in Chris's last email, no dates were set yet.
So, okay, so what's normal I mean, do we have any, what would be considered normal? Were we talking
Normal?
2 years? Less
No,
than a year?
no, a month or two.
Oh, okay, so it's less than a year,
Well, under the circumstance, that's why I believe it's going this long.
Okay, thanks.
And there's always that things that are in flux. Right now, we have 50% of the grant. With some municipalities, they might say, well, unless we get a higher percent, we can't afford it. Our municipality might not choose that. So I don't know if we're going to wait till DCNR grants are announced and then move forward, or if the Board of Supervisors planning to move forward and being reimbursed. That's kind of decision that I haven't been involved with.
But we don't need grant money necessarily. That's just going to save us money. We have money in the open space for this.
Yeah, we have the money to purchase the land.
Yeah. Okay.
We
Very
have two
possibly
grants.
the purchase could happen before the grants are announced. Usually what happens is Chris will file a letter. I forget the name of the letter, but basically saying that we would be reimbursed even if we do make the purchase before the grants are announced. That's usually that.
Yeah, we have done that many times.
Yes.
Purchased the ground before we got the grant money.
Okay. Thanks. Jim, you were saying something?
Am you muted?
Yeah, we have two grants for this. Do you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Two grants that are going to cover the whole purchase price of this property. DCNR is half of it, and then we have county money that's going to cover the balance.
Oh, okay. So there's no money coming out of our pockets?
That is correct.
All right.
Am I mistaken, or if 50% is funded by DCNR, does the county grant then go to 40%? I think they still require at least 10%.
I don't know exactly, but we got the majority of the cost covered. I don't know the exact numbers.
Okay, any other questions or comments on the open space?
Yeah, I can look in the email that Chris sent out. He has numbers.
Okay, maybe for next month, or if you want to.
After the meeting. And the only thing that has really going to be changing is the number of permits, reducing the permits down to approximately 30. I believe it's 30. 29 and a half, so. And that's increasing it from, currently it's 11 acres per hunter to 16 and a quarter acres per hunter.
Okay,
And
so
that's-
we'll look
Yeah.
for a letter in the next couple weeks, and then if
Yeah.
everybody gets a chance to review that, we'd look at a recommendation to the BOS on our June meeting.
Yeah, normally we like to have that ready for the Coventry Woods Festival, but we've been kind of going slow on it because of the fact that we don't have that deadline.
All right, well, we'll look forward to the letter. Thank you, John. Okay, moving on to the park calendar and SAPs. Denise is communicating with individuals and organizations regarding scheduling. I guess we don't really have a whole lot of other information on that right now. Too many moving parts and unanswered questions. Vince, do you have anything to add to that topic?
Nope. Nope, not at all.
Jay, I did talk to the orienteering group when they were looking to reschedule for next year, DVOA. And their original date that they came up with was some like mid-April. And I had asked her, based on conversations and decisions that we had made as a commission previously, that we wouldn't have large off-trail uses after April 1st in the woods because of the plant growth and the migrating birds, that she's going to look to reschedule for next March. So I just wanted to put that on the record and remind everybody of why we had talked about not having hundreds of people tromping off trail in the spring, in the late spring.
Okay, good, thank you. All right, moving on to correspondence. Resident Hallie Berry expressed some concerns about bicycle use on the Hanover Meadows Trail during a BOS meeting. We briefly discussed that this meeting. I believe I saw Hallie was in attendance on the Zoom meeting. Am I correct?
I'm here. Yep.
Would you
I'm
like to
Sure.
share some of your thoughts?
I'd love to. Well, have you guys talked about whether you think bikes should be allowed on that path?
We did have a
Anybody?
discussion last week, or last month, I'm sorry, and the kind of split ideas.
Okay. It's very narrow. So take it from somebody who has walked a lot of paths. It's not just me, but there was somebody else who also said that there was a problem with a bike that almost hit them. It is maybe 6 feet wide. That is enough for if somebody's walking with somebody and then somebody going the other way. There is absolutely no room for bikes on that path. I just can't stress it enough. I understand that Mr. Hennessy explained that you guys don't want a lot of signs, okay? But there can be just one sign, no wheels, including skateboards, no scooters, obviously no four-wheelers, things like that. Just if you said no wheels, that would include it all. That's my opinion. I think that you guys are looking for a liability if you let bikes on that path.
Hey, Miss Brady,
Especially because of the grades. You have all the signs about the grade. It's quite hilly in some areas, and nobody, a lot of people don't understand bike etiquette, passing on your left, that kind of thing. It's just, I think it's a huge liability. Yes, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, that's okay. One of the things we were curious is if you were concerned with like a child's bike, somebody bringing their child to learn how to ride, or having a little kid.
So that amazes me, because I think, first of all, it's very hilly. So even if you bring them to the top, so that would be parallel to Route 100. To me, like if it was my child, that's a little risky, because there's no barrier between the path, the hill, and Route 100. If that child would roll, that's a bad situation right there.
I was just curious if your concern when you were almost hit was that a child's bike, or was
no, it was an adult. Two adults. So it was an adult and a like a younger, they were both like probably an adult and a teenager.
Mm-hmm. So full-size bike.
Apparently somebody else had the same issue as well. So they were full-size bikes. I mean, you can't discriminate between a child's bike and an adult. I think that it would have to be a blanket rule: no wheels, no bikes allowed. So it should be a walking path. It's too narrow. I mean, like think about Valley Forge Park. If somebody, usually they're going to be on the road, but if they're on the path, that path is twice as wide as that path over there.
I think the greater concern there, also from my opinion and my experience with trails, is the curves. There's just so many sharp curves on that trail, and that's where a cyclist is going to tend to cross lines, not even stay on their side. I think it's inappropriate for bicycle use because of the degrees of curvature.
Yeah. And the speed that you would accelerate,
liability and safety concern.
and the grades are such that they are going to pick up speed coming down quite fast. It's dangerous.
I wonder if we could think about time usage then. I maintain that someone who's trying to teach their kid how to ride a bike has a good spot to use there. Of course, not when there's a ton of people walking, absolutely. But I think in our township we ought to provide somewhere. There's a lot of people without a driveway. Certainly the street's not appropriate. I'm sure you agree. Could we say there's a certain time when people could bring their children to ride a bike or learn how to ride a bike? I wouldn't want to teach my kid how to ride a bike on my street. So I don't know. Is there anybody have another idea how this could be mitigated?
Can I just ask, where are you thinking to teach a young child? Where would your ideal place where would that be on that path? Which section?
Well, whenever I've been there haven't been too many folks there. So, riding up the hill, of course, going down the hill might be a little bit dangerous, but that's, I mean, that's of course my discretion, for my kids. So I'm just, I don't know if there's potentially another option where we could all share the trail.
Again, to me, the only flat part is on the top. That would be parallel to Route 100. It's just, I think that would be scary for me if I was teaching my child.
Would you say this is all our trails in our township are a hazardous, when bikes and pedestrians are on at the same time?
I'm not gonna comment on that because I haven't quite paid attention to the width of I'm speaking specifically of the park on Lenape Crossing, the new wonderful walking path, hopefully. Because
I understand.
It's 6 feet. That's not enough for a couple and another person going the opposite direction. It's not wide enough.
I understand that. I said most of our trails in our park are approximately that size. So
Kenilworth Park would probably be more ideal for beginners to learn the bike ride. So I know I was over at Hanover the other day, and 2 younger teenagers were skateboarding down the hill. So I mean, I had to ask them to go away.
Where was that, Vince? Where was that?
At Hanover Meadows.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, is that what it's called? Okay. Gotcha.
So my concern is someone else complaining at another trail, another park about bikes, and then we ban the bikes there. So I understand your concern.
Wait, but this is
When we
brand,
have,
you guys haven't set the rules here yet. Correct?
yeah, I'm done talking. Good, I'm done.
Oh, I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm just saying that your rules have not been set for that particular path right now. The others are established. You can't do it, you know, you're not going to do anything with that. It doesn't have to be a global ordinance or a rule. This path doesn't have any rules and regulations at this point. There's nothing posted at this point. Am I right?
Yeah, that's my, excuse me. That's one of the things that I think we are really lacking is we have this nice, great kiosk and we don't have one damn thing in it. That's one concern. The other concern that I have is, yeah, I know we were over last week and we have motorized vehicles going on that path, on the trail.
Oh, God.
I think that's more of an issue than the bicycles because those motorized vehicles were unfortunately not even teenage kids. I think, yeah, that's more of a concern to me.
Yeah, no wheels.
Steve,
What's
did you
that?
have something else
Yeah,
to add?
they're on those motorized, they're on electric skateboards.
Yeah.
Haley, unfortunately, it can't be as simple as no wheels because that would exclude strollers and wheelchairs.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Sorry about that. But
And we do
no-
have the park regulations on the website. So the motorized vehicles definitely is a no-no.
I've looked on the website. I haven't seen anything for that. I haven't seen any rules for that park yet.
We have a park ordinance, which was enforceable by the police department. And all of our township park properties and open space properties fall under that ordinance. We can then make separate rules for individual parks. For example, the Pigeon Creek Trail at Coventry Woods is deemed to have no equestrian and no bicycle use.
Yes.
So we can do certain rules given a particular trail and its site layout, its ground surfacing, you know, all those variables. And that's really almost a separate item from the ordinance. I would hope that common sense would prevail. I don't imagine any of our police officers are going to arrest a 2 or 3-year-old for learning to ride their tricycle.
Yeah.
They're not going to go there. But you also can't write an ordinance or develop a rule to be enforced to say that if you're over 5, you can't do this, but if you're under 5, it can't be enforced through a court of law that way.
No.
So we need a rule that is enforceable and then is enforced with common sense practices.
How does this work with you guys? Do you vote on this? Can this be on your agenda to vote on for next month? How does it work?
Yes, generally the Parks Commission has the authority to manage certain things, but when it comes down to like the ordinance was approved by the Board of Supervisors. So the ordinances that can be enforced by the police department have to come not through the parks, but through the Board of Supervisors. Now, they generally do that with recommendations from the parks, but it's just like the different layers of
Oh, thanks, Vince.
authority.
We have ordinances, we just have to document them. And
Yeah, John, the reason that there's nothing in that kiosk is the kiosk got put up about 2 days before the COVID thing hit and the office was closed. So the reason there's nothing in the kiosk is because the township office Denise had a list of things. She was going to laminate. She was going to do, but it just didn't happen. So that will be coming. That does not fix the question regarding bicycle use on this trail. Again, I personally believe this should be not a bicycle appropriate trail. To make a motion for that, it's going to require, or to pass that would require a majority of this group.
So is that trail designated for pedestrian only?
It has not been designated as anything. It's
Okay.
a trail. There's been no specific designations.
All right. So as of right now, this is something that has to be discussed and voted on, and if we do make a recommendation, to send it to the Board of Supervisors, depending on what our recommendation is, right? Is that where we go from here? I don't think it's votable tonight. I don't think we're prepared to send something with the correct wording tonight. I think it's something that really has to be discussed, and we did discuss it before. So what's everyone else?
Being that there seems to be a lot of disagreement or different ideas here, I would suggest to keep this meeting moving, that we talk to township staff and table this till next month.
Thanks, Jay.
Everybody in agreement with that?
Sorry.
Okay. We'll talk to township staff and try to come up with a solution for the month of June.
Okay.
Haley, thanks for taking your time and joining our meeting, and hopefully you're enjoying the trail.
We are, and I appreciate your time. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for joining.
Thank
Okay. Next thing in the correspondence, we also got a call from Lieb Schulman, who's a neighbor at Kenilworth, was a bit disturbed about all the trees been taken down. Once I talked to him, explained some of the hazards and some of the background, he was completely understanding. He did express, like, why don't we communicate this? And I think it's a good question how we communicate it. Is something we want to post in the kiosk if there's going to be tree removal? Is something we put in the website? I mentioned Facebook. He doesn't do Facebook. So it just brings back to the point that communication is important. Lieb is now comfortable with why we did what we did, but understanding when people don't understand or don't have the background, it does raise questions. So
That's actually a good idea. If something like that's going to happen, is to post it in the kiosks. I mean, we have them in most of the parks. If we know when it's going to be done,
we
people who
certainly
live
do it
around
on
there.
Facebook too. It's free.
Yeah.
Again, that's not going to touch I don't do Facebook. Lieb doesn't do. It's not going to solve all the problems, but it is an opportunity to communicate with the public. So
Yeah.
I think we need to do a better job of communication and use those tools that we already have. So thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll move on to the volunteer hours. I would ask that everybody could follow the strategic plan, hopefully, especially with our new township manager in place, that by breaking up into the 3 categories of administration, facilities, and programs, it's going to provide some more information following our strategic plan that we've been doing for many years, that we can know really where some of those volunteer hours are going. Okay, we'll move on to facilities. Park maintenance list. Vince, is there anything we need to discuss there?
No, everything is pretty much taken care of. Did you and Steve take care of that Monday morning?
Yes.
So, yeah. There was
Okay,
really
thank you.
Yep.
Coventry Trail, I don't believe there's any report there. Moving on to Coventry Woods. Steve Weil replaced a few of the decking boards and the entrance grids at Fernbrook. The road crew then, or John got an estimate to replace that decking. We had an email vote. We had 7 yeses and 1 no for doing that replacement. The work has been completed. The entire thing is redecked. I actually happened to follow somebody across there with a dog the other day, and they mentioned, oh, look at this. It's all new decking. So the public did notice. Also, Steve jumped right in. We had some damage to the ridge vent at the smokehouse in the high winds the other week. And he got right on it, got his ladder, got his tools, had it repaired in no time. So thank you, Steve, for taking care of that so quickly. Okay, moving on to Hanover Meadows. Public Works completed the installation of the access sign at Hanover Meadows. Vince, do you have what the total cost was for that sign after when it finally came in and was invoiced?
Since we only went one-sided, we only spent $2,100, $2,200 roughly.
Okay.
So, and then we at the Board of Supervisors, we asked for $1,500 for installation, and John was well under the budget on that one. I think it was a few $100s in material. So I know Patty was asking about flowers. I think it was flowers, Patty. I think John was thinking about putting flowers there when he had time, but if you have other suggestions, I don't have everything in the plans. If we want to put flowers, or not sure what else you wanted to put there.
No, it actually wasn't me, Vince. I remember from attending the EAC meetings that they had been talking about putting in like a native plant demonstration garden. And I thought if there wasn't anything else planned for that maybe they could take that on. That was their initiative, rather than create another space for a demo garden if that one wasn't being used.
Planning away, we were planning on doing some pansies. We thought we'd be safe doing it right now, but with the weather this weekend, who knows?
Okay.
Snow and ice this weekend, so.
Great.
Yeah.
John did make a suggestion about having red, white, and blue, which I think would be a really nice thing to have something kind of a patriotic color. However, I think we need to kind of make sure we look a little bit toward native species. And one of the problems, especially with perennials, is you're not going to get all the blooms at the same time. So it'd be difficult to get red, white, and blues blooming at the same time with native perennials.
There is, don't forget, there is a Pennsylvania Master Gardener on the EAC. So I would recommend utilizing their expertise.
Then maybe we should talk to them. Who is that, Patty?
Phoebe Robb. And then Justin Schiffler is also very involved with native plants because he's the beekeeper. And so it was just a suggestion. If you want to kick it to them, something would probably get done and we wouldn't have to do it.
Okay, we'll talk to John and see if we can make that happen. Thank you. Okay, moving on to.
Can I ask a question? The money that went towards the sign in the front, the access sign, is that the only sign that money went towards?
Yes, the $2,100 is only for the access sign. We have money. We still have money for the interpreter signs that we've got to do as well.
So where did the there's a sign and a for dog waste up there, and an area for dog waste. Where did that come from? Because I don't remember that going through any type of approval. We discussed not ever doing that. Who put that in there up there at the park?
Well, we went through the Board of Supervisors, Colleen, and we talked about it. When we did the picnic benches, benches and the kiosks, it was all part of the same proposal.
Wait, at a Parks and Rec meeting?
Yeah, and at the Board of Supervisors.
I don't remember ever discussing. I thought we discussed that you pack it in, pack it out, and that we don't provide dog waste bags or trash cans to put dog waste in. What meeting was that?
I don't know, how long ago did we do the discussion of the picnic benches?
Yeah, I know. I know we have discussed it many times. So does that mean we're going to be putting these dog waste stations in all the parks now,
Well,
John?
but discussing it is different from voting on it and approving it.
Yeah, I didn't think we did.
We didn't. There was
And
no
it just
approval
showed up.
to be put in.
So
Who-
I'm asking, did John? Because
I
he's the
put
one
it-
that has to
no,
maintain it.
No, you guys, it was in the PowerPoint. It was in my notes. If you guys gonna read, you gotta read the information. It was all there. So it was presented, and it's the same information that I did a whole PowerPoint on it.
At a Parks and Rec meeting, you did a whole PowerPoint on the dog waste being installed, the dog waste bags and the dog waste trash can. Jay, did we discuss and approve that? I don't remember that being approved anywhere.
I'm not sure what was discussed when and what.
I'm pretty sure it was discussed but not approved because it's not approved in any other park. I mean, that's every
I don't-
other park is we don't have that. That's always been a big discussion because I've tried to push that many a times and to put something there, and it's always been, well, who's going to do it? Who's going to replace it? Who's going to empty it? John said, we don't want to empty that.
Yeah, that was last March and April that we went over that in Kenilworth Park and Riverbend Park about
Well,
the
every
dog
park
waste.
we own. So I don't understand how that went through. We did not vote on that, and whether or not that was put in some type of give me the word, proposal, that did not go through Parks and Rec. That proposal did not go through. Who signed over that that's supposed to be in there?
I think it was part of the stimulus package that they just passed. Never mind.
I tried to push for that since we did this, and I think we really need to find out how that got put through. Vince, if you can look up to see where that was put through on a proposal and when that was voted on and put through the Board of Supervisors.
All I can tell you, Colleen, is I did the presentation. It was on my proposal. It's the same one that went to the Board of Supervisors
Yeah.
last year.
That didn't go through us. I'm going to look through all
Who
the
am I
minutes.
going to go and talk to? It went through this before it goes to the Board of Supervisors. So
Can we try to find it on the minutes and then visit it again? Because I think right now we don't have the proof, so to speak, that'll help everyone
Right.
understand.
yeah.
I don't really promise that I'm going to have time to go through all those minutes.
If you can look through, Vince, if you have the proposal, you probably have when it was proposed to us and when it went through the Parks and Rec. So I don't have it in any minutes. I looked back through last year minutes, and I have nothing on that proposal. So I don't know if you can look through and find out when that was for us. I would really like to know how it got through because it was not discussed.
Do you want me to remove it?
I'm sorry, I froze for a bit. Who's that?
John, John McKee? Should we remove it or I'm just asking.
Oh, were you aware through the proposal that it was going, that it was being?
It was ordered, I think, through Vince's recommendation, and we put it up and.
Well, Vince's recommendation, it should be Parks and Rec's
Well,
recommendation.
it was ordered with the benches, the kiosks, wasn't.
Yeah.
With all due respect, we aren't going to solve this problem tonight. That's
No, we're not.
something we need to look into. Let's
Correct.
keep moving. We're now
Somebody
at
can look into it.
we're at almost 9 o'clock. So we'll ask Vince to find out what was done. We can talk to everybody in the staff, and we'll try to figure that one out.
That's what I'd like to find out. Okay, thanks.
Okay, let me make a note here. Okay, so we'll move on to Kenilworth Park. Again, we did a meeting and a vote, and M&M Tree Service did do the removal of the trees. The stump grinding was not included in that. We'll ask the Public Works to do the stump grinding. They should also be able to remove the many other stumps in the park for, comparable price. So John's schedule will dictate when that's done. I know he has some road work at this point. We then asked Michael Lane, who has actually background as a landscape architect, to do a plan. John had some concerns about the drip line of the trees and hence branches and things falling over the road. So we moved the shade trees back onto the other side of the trail, put some smaller flowering trees on the grass strip between the trail and the road. Sent an electronic copy of that out. There are flags marking the locations of the trees on site if anybody wants to look at it from that perspective. Are there any questions or comments on that plan?
I love it.
Okay. I did contact both Hoffman Nursery and Bickle Landscaping. Hoffman has been doing a lot of the tree plantings in the township. Bickle did the plantings at Hanover Meadows. Haven't gotten any information back from either one at this point. Do we want to make a motion to approve that plan with the understanding that it might not get planted till the fall? If we go any much longer at all, we're not going to be in a planting season, and I would hate to put that number of trees in and then be responsible to water them or have them die over a hot summer. So I'm thinking we might be better off with the fall planting, but we can approve the plan now. Is there a motion to approve that plan or other discussion first?
I'm good with it.
I'll make the motion to approve the plan that Michael submitted for the tree plantings at Kenilworth Park.
And let me also add in, Michael did put in there about having a London plane tree. I'm usually drift to the side of staying native and going with a sycamore. Michael's concern is there's some anthracnose funguses that can affect the sycamores that don't affect the London planes as much. I don't think it's worth worrying about that too much at this point, simply because it's also going to depend on availability through the contractors. They might be to get one and not the other, and I would probably favor a sycamore, but I'm not strongly opposed to a non-native that's that closely related. So if we can approve it with that contingent that we have flexibility there. Okay, so we have a motion. Is there a second?
I second.
Yeah, we have a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. So we'll work on getting some cost estimates for that plan. Okay, Colleen, you wanted to speak about the butterfly garden.
I did. I have been down at the garden, and we all talked about this before. We know it needs a 100% complete overhaul. So I think what we need to do first, and I spoke with Patty and actually John about this, and they're putting me in touch with Justin and, help me, Patty, Jesse
Yes.
Schiffler.
Mhm.
Okay. And I think we need to do a raised bed if we're going to redo this. We need to do something to raise that up because we have that pipe underneath. So we need at least a good, 8, 12 inches of good dirt to put in there so that we can get some plantings in there. Now, I just got 2 yards of free compost that I can put in there. And Mark and I picked it up today. It's in the back of the truck. So I've been looking around to get things and free and have people donate stuff. So we can get in there and start on this. And if we get a raised bed, and I'm looking for input from anyone who is willing to offer assistance with this raised bed, we can at least look like we're getting something started. With the raised bed, at least I can start getting dirt in there, turning it up, and getting some plantings.
Did you put any thought into what you would build? You're talking masonry, wood?
Well, originally I wanted something more natural, like stone, but after talking about it, it's probably best if we go with wood. And we can mark it out. We're going to have to get rid of the shape that it's in now because it's kind of in like a kidney shape. But if we just go in there and make it a standard, right now it's 40 by 18 approximately. So if we go in there and we can get wood and build that up so we have a raised bed, then we can start there. I think it's probably the cheapest way to go too.
I think we need to get cost estimates because there's obviously the cost of materials and there's cost of labor, unless we're getting all volunteer labor.
Well, I'm working on that too. I am working on the volunteer labor. I have 2 calls into 2 places of business to see if they actually want to sponsor for community service. I haven't heard back from them yet, but hopefully we'll work on volunteers getting them, to get the plants in. I'm willing to put in a lot of time with it, but I am going to need help getting the raised beds.
I might suggest if we make evaluations that we evaluate hardscaping, because then you're not going to have a problem with wood rot 10 or 15 years from now. And B, you can still make curved edges. You don't have to have straight lines. So if we have to get cost estimates anyway, maybe worth evaluating what does it cost in wood and what does it cost in hardscaping, and then we can make a choice from there.
Okay.
Make sense?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Originally I wanted to do it with stones, but then, and with the hardscaping, but that would also be harder to maintain afterwards with cutting the grass, the curves. I don't know if John is still here, John McKee, maybe you can chime in a little bit. What are your thoughts on it? Did he leave?
No, I'm here. I'm still
John,
here.
you're muted.
Uh,
Oh, okay.
uh, that's fine if you want to get, like, right now we're kind of booked out. Like, so for us, this would probably, if you need help from us, we're looking more probably like July. We'd have availability, we have some float in our schedule where a day here or there. I don't know what, when you're looking to do this, but it's an area that needs to be cleaned up. We need to either decide, hey, we're doing this, or we're going to seed it, and it's getting because it's been sitting for years.
Right.
So let's clean it up, or let's make it lawn. Is my feeling.
So what are your thoughts then on whether we do the hardscaping or the and when you talk about hardscape, you're talking about stone, you're talking about block border, Jay?
Yeah, right. Jay's talking about, yeah.
So by hardscaping, I'd be referring to the engineered blocks. So not natural field stone.
Okay.
That would be more problematic to use natural stone because you're going to have weeds actually come out through the stones.
Yeah.
With hardscaping blocks, it's going to contain the dirt better. You're not going to have weeds coming through the actual wall itself, and you can do curves. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend a natural stone, but a hardscaping.
And so, John, what are you thinking between wood or hardscaping? Which is easier to maintain for you?
It doesn't matter, but my feeling is if, we have the technically bioswale area or whatever it is behind the baseball field, like, to me, like, let's enhance that area because we get a lot of butterflies there in July. So does it make sense to have 2 areas that we're maintaining around to attract butterflies where we have one already that we're getting a lot of monarchs in that area?
Yeah, I know where you're talking about. This has been just this has been something I've really wanted to keep going. Plus we do have the sign there.
Bioswale's in pretty bad shape. There's hardly any native plants left in there. It's all been choked out by weeds. So that's another area that really needs to be.
If it's up, if you build it up, that's great. We can maintain around that. That's,
okay.
That's easy. So,
All right. So I'll get some estimates about what it would cost.
Whatever you guys
would compared to the block.
We'll work around that. So.
Okay. All right. So I just wanted to fill you in because I'm going to be dumping the the compost down there. Any chance we can get wood chips too?
There's some in the parking lot right now.
Can I use them?
I don't know. Ask Vince.
I think, were they for the disc golf?
No, they're already done. You can use them. Take them all.
So I can put, oh, cool. Okay.
We'll have to get more when the other
What about-
benches are in,
What
but
about what about the second scout, Vince?
I don't know when he's gonna get, he's still working on funding.
Okay.
Well, I mean, is it hard to get another dump of wood chip?
Shouldn't be.
All right.
Is the stump grinding going to generate any wood chips?
Yeah, but that's probably going to be later in the fall, maybe winter. Like I told Jay, that's
That's
going to
fine.
be all season stuff for us. So I don't know when that will be. And I don't want you to rely on that.
That's fine.
Okay, cool. I'd like to get started on this if that's okay with everybody. I'll get some estimates,
Please do.
and then I am going to dump what I have and put the wood chips in there, and then we'll put the outline around after. Okay.
You should be able to build around a pile of dirt. That shouldn't be too problematic.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Thinking of using geotech under the soil, under the compost, or?
I actually have, and I looked it up. I have 4. I'm not sure which way I should go. I have to talk to somebody professional. I have 4 and 6 mil plastic that I can put down. I put down that weed barrier before, and those are like astronomically strong weeds. They all came up through it. It smothered the flowers, but every weed came up through that, and it was a pain getting up. So I'm not sure if I would need to put the plastic down and put everything else on top of it, the wood chips and the mulch, or if I need to wood chip mulch it and then put the plastic over it to solarize the whole thing. I don't know which one is the better way to go yet.
I would not use plastic to leave it there, because then you're in perpetuity changing the drainage of the area.
And
So plastic could be used to solarize it, but not
Right.
to be kept there under the mulch.
that was one of my thoughts. That's why I want to get in touch with other people.
And the geotextile shouldn't be a problem, because really the value of the geotech is not to keep weeds out. It's to separate the soil layers.
Say that again, I locked. It's to separate what?
To separate the soil layers.
Oh,
So if you have layers of stone, layers of compost, you're separating them.
okay.
And it's really the 18 inches of soil in the raised bed. You're just kind of separating that to give you a work. It's not going to kill every weed underneath,
Okay.
but it's going to allow complete drainage. So we could talk about that offline too, if you want.
Okay, good. Yeah, definitely.
Line plans.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Certainly. Okay, last thing for Kenilworth Park, there was also an email vote taken to redress the wood carpet on the playground. Vote was affirmative. So John will put that on his list when ever the schedule allows.
Hey, Jay, just for clarity, because when we do email votes, I think for the minutes, you should, as you did before, you should state exactly what the vote was, member by member.
Okay, I had done it when there was votes in both directions. When it was just everybody voted yes, I just didn't bother.
Yeah, but I just think because, because of the situation and with having meetings this way and taking email votes, which I think there's a gray area.
I'd rather not make it a habit.
So
But
yes, if you could just send the votes to Cynthia to put in the minutes, I'd be happy with that.
Okay, depends if I deleted all the emails yet or not.
Okay.
Not sure.
I think I have them. I think I have them, Jay. I can put that information in.
Okay, thank you. If I have the emails, I'll look it up. If I don't, we'll let you take a
Oh, I
stab.
guess, yeah, as long as they were replied to all, then I have them. If not, it won't be a correct number.
And
Okay.
that's, everyone should always reply all when we're doing email votes. That's really
I
important.
know it was a majority of, it was a quorum, but
Right. No, I know that too.
and there might have
again,
been 1 or 2 abstentions where somebody didn't reply, but again, I don't.
And wait, I did reply to that one.
Okay, we'll move on to Riverbend Park. Cynthia, can you give us an update?
I can, as soon as I'm finished a sentence. Sorry, thanks. So we today put in for having the last invoice for the therapeutic equipment, so that's really exciting. Erica has that information, so kind of like, sorry, Erica, but it's all you. So that's great. We have some extra funds, so Michael tells us that that is just kind of pocketed to be used at Riverbend for the therapeutic equipment or for the 2 through 12-year-old, both of those grants. We can keep some of that money to use for mulch or to use for a potential next piece of equipment. The team decided, like, let's just buckle down and get done what we have planned and see what money is remaining and what we should do with that fund. So we're in okay shape. Unfortunately, the therapeutic equipment probably is going to be an 8-week delivery, so it's going to be a long haul. But that's all that's coming to go into the currently prepared place. So after
it'll be 8 weeks from now till it comes, till it's delivered.
Yeah, and I'll say 8 weeks from when the invoice goes through.
Okay.
So and she said 8 to 10. So I don't. It could be 6 to 10 weeks. You know, it's whenever they get the stuff.
Right. Now you mentioned, Michael said we can, a lot of times the grants, you give documentation, they give you the money. So this is the health and wellness grant, and they're going to give us the funding when the playground's completed, but they're going to give us more than we have invoices for.
Well, I think some of the money we already have. Jim, do you know, or Erica, maybe you know, but I know you're jumping in new. Yeah. Patty, do you remember?
That was our $5,000 of playground money we were putting in.
Yeah, no, but I think that I think that some of the grant money is in, but I can email Michael just to double check and ask him what we have in our, in our hands and what we don't have. But what he specifically said when I asked that question is that the money can stay as long as it's in a fund for Riverbend Park, either the therapeutic equipment, 2 to 5 or 5 to 12-year-old, whichever pocket that belongs in, it stays in that pocket and can be used towards bettering that park. Does that answer the question?
Well, I think we'll have to look into, because we haven't gotten the checks yet, and it's very possible, but I think we just need to make sure we have the appropriate kind of placing the money and make sure that all we need to make sure all that is copacetic so that questions aren't asked later. Because that's contradictory to how most grant fundings work. They don't usually.
No, but I completely agree, because I would hate to see an extra 5,000 sitting there and get used for something that it's not supposed to be used for. So I can email Michael just to ask him kind of for an update, or maybe for a written statement that explains how those funds can be used or how they're monitored.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good, thank you.
And those funds will have to be put in an account labeled with that project. So we have to do that. So also, John, we had to have John do some adjustment to the border of the playground. He agreed to do that. One of the pieces were installed, no one's fault, just too close to one of the sides of the border, so that's going to have to be moved. John's going to take care of that. I don't think there's really too much cost involved. So,
not minimal.
Thanks, John.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Okay, last thing on our agenda for this evening is Riverside Park.
Hey, on that playground, can we re-secure the fence, John? Around because I saw the kids the other day were using it.
We've been trying to keep up with the winds.
I know it's all down. I didn't have any tire.
Yeah, we keep an eye on it. We try to keep it up the best we can. I mean, realistically, all our parks are caution taped off now, and people are ripping things down and utilizing it on a nice 70-degree day. So we're doing the best we can.
So whatever we can do, whatever we can do, we'll help you out on maintaining that stuff also.
Thanks, Steve. If you see it, shoot me an email. I mean, we're there like once a week, mowing and things like. If you see it, let me know, and we'll try to get it back up.
One option that might be feasible and easier to maintain than the posts in the ground is just take one piece of construction fence, wrap it directly around the play equipment, and that way it's not on fence posts, it's not out in the open, it's directly on the equipment, and that's might be lower maintenance, maybe. Okay, last thing, we did an email vote to replace the edging on the playground at Riverside Park and redress the wood carpet. The vote was affirmative, so John has that on his future schedule.
Hey, I wanted, if we're talking about Riverbend, I wanted to talk about that building.
Ah, okay.
Right? I mean, there's that thing is, I've sent you pictures. The roof, there's roof everywhere. The whole thing is falling apart. So if we're going to keep it and restore it, then take the whole top layer and remove the top layer and leave the cinder blocks up, or tear the whole thing down. But right now it's an eyesore. Take a look. You guys got to look at it. It's pretty bad.
Vince, this has been on the Parks and Rec agenda.
I know,
for the
John, but
last
now it's on the 3-year
4
list.
years.
Now it's on the 3-year list.
And the what was it? The rugby.
So all I'm saying is
they're
that
going to do something. Are
I'm
they
picking up
going to
roof
do
material.
something?
The roof is falling apart. It's on a good windy day, it throws everything around. Right now it's literally falling apart. So
Well, it's not near as bad now as it was 2 years ago. I know.
There's
John,
no roof. Half the roof is gone. What was it?
As we look at how to move forward with this problem, the roof is a potential liability right now. There is a safety hazard with that roof. Because that building is a block building with a cement floor, if you remove the roof, the rest of the building will not deteriorate. Most wood frame structures, you can't just remove a roof. Here we can very easily remove the roof, and it doesn't have anything to do with what we do in the future. We're just immediately correcting the safety hazard. So we can go back and forth all night long about what was done 3 years ago and who proposed what, and we're going to go in circles. But I believe we could move forward with removing the roof, reduce the hazard, and then we can better determine what our future is. Any thoughts on moving forward with that? And John, do you have an estimate when you could maybe look at doing something like that?
The electric has to come off the building first before we do anything.
That's the big hazard, because that thing is going to collapse with that electric.
I don't know if the electric's still live or not. I know Kevin was working on that, and I don't know where we stand, but I can't demo anything until the electric's off the building.
Okay.
John, you and I can work on that.
And we talked. Yeah, we talked to Kevin 2-3 years ago about getting rid of that, and it's still there. So Erica, let's get rid of the electric, and so we can move on.
Sounds good.
All right.
Okay.
So just so I'm clear, as of now, once the electric's removed, we're just on the roof.
Yes.
Okay, just so we're clear. Okay.
Is there anything still in that building?
Junk.
I know. I mean, it needs, I would like to encourage that we make a decision on this at next month's meeting of, are we going to keep it or are we going to move it on? Because I think Vince is right. It's a complete hazard, and John is correct. John Ellwinger is correct. We've been talking about this as long as I've been around. So we need to decrease the hazard immediately, as soon as possible, and then let's make a decision.
Well, what we also need to do then is get prices we did have the offer to replace the roof by a group who didn't come through. We would need to know the cost of that, but we also need to know what the cost of removing it is. So removing it isn't free. And I think a lot of people always overlook, well, just get rid of it. Well, no, that's not free either. So if it's going to cost as much to remove it as to replace the roof, then maybe we need to look at our options and
Well,
make sure we're looking
is
at both
what-
sides of that coin.
Is 1 month enough time to gather that information so a decision can be made?
Other than the roof, the building is sound.
So is 1 month enough time to gather that information? So a decision can be made?
It's
Kicking the
it-
can.
it's taken 3 years to get to this point, so I think removing the roof and the electric is a really good start.
I agree, Steve.
Yeah, I've
And I
been
agree with
sending,
Patty too. We do need to move forward. I'm not sure if June is the magic date or it's going to take longer, but we can ask John for some cost estimates.
All right.
Okay. Coventry Wood sponsors were notified about the postponement, given the offer of a refund or to us hold the sponsorship money. Then notification was sent out to the general public. No rescheduling date has been chosen. I think we're going to have to wait and see what some of the different states opening move forward, and just how the bigger scenario plays out is looking at a fall event. There have been some suggestions about maybe combining the festival with a bonfire, do a kind of a partly day, partly night event, but no serious discussions have been taking place because I think, again, there's too many questions. So hopefully we can, by June, kind of know what direction the county, state, and nation are going and what some of the scientific data shows. Okay, that brings us to the end of the agenda. Are there any comments?
Yeah, I have a comment. I think Patty's idea about the email vote, we're going to have to do a better job documenting it, because I have the email here I sent out back on January. Matter of fact, Colleen, Jay forwarded the proposal from Treetop Products on January 6th at 10 p.m. and took an email vote of what we were going to order for. Within that proposal was the pet waste. And you responded as I vote yes on January 7th at 3:15.
January 7th, okay.
Yep.
I'll look at it.
So you can scan it, you look at it you want, but everyone, this was a email vote and it went through, and everyone should have read the content of the email, and you would have seen that the pet waste system was on that proposal.
Okay, I'll look at it, Vince. We decided that we would take a look at this after the meeting, so
Well,
I'll look at it.
Yep. So I'm giving you the dates.
All right.
But I think what Patty stated makes good sense for us to make sure we capture email votes properly, so we don't have this discussion. So.
And hopefully we can minimize email votes too.
Well, I agree. I don't remember what happened in January. What we were trying to meet a certain timeline for the open house, I think, and we were doing things quick. But I have the email, so you guys can look it up. So.
Thank you, Vince.
Yeah.
Any other comments?
Vince, we met that deadline, didn't we?
We did. Too bad we didn't have open house, so we met the deadline. So.
I just want to be. We're busy with our road work. We have a day here or there, so I'm looking like the parks list that Vince's to-do list is. So everything on that list is good to go, correct?
Yeah, it's clean. There's nothing on there. So again, if someone has anything, they let me know. We'll put it up on the list. But there's nothing right now. So.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So. Last thing, Jay, I think Jim Marks got a complaint about that tree at the homeowner association complex. Did you get a confirmation back that they took care of it? I know.
I haven't heard anything. Denise was going to talk to the homeowners association. I haven't heard anything other than she was going to reach out to them.
Okay. So you want to do a follow-up on that with
I'll
Denise?
take the dog for a walk sometime and see if it's still there.
All right.
Might-
I don't know who Jim, who called you on it, but I mean, we're looking at it. So
Sounds good. Thanks, Vince.
Okay, looks like we met our deadline with actually 10 minutes to spare. So thank you to everyone, and stay safe, stay healthy.
Good night, all.
Right,
Is
thanks.
there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Bye.
Bye.
Opposed? Cheers, everybody.
Thank
night.
you, everyone.